Addiction is something that many people struggle with, and some struggle with it for so long that they feel they'll never be free. I was recently talking to a young man who felt that exact way. In fact, he told me, he said, Pastor Addison, it's impossible. I will never be free from this. I'll never be different. This is just who I am. But I want to tell you, friend, that's a lie. That is a big lie. Addiction is not forever. And so if you'll permit me, I'd like to show you today 7 steps on how you can be free from your addiction. Now, this is not going to be exhaustive. I mean, we could spend hours and hours with this, but it will be effective. I believe if you'll take these 7 steps and you internalize them and you practice this, I do believe you will be free from your addiction. Because some of these aren't things you do, but things you have to believe. And so we'll talk about that. But the first thing I think you have to understand before we get to the steps is that addiction is idolatry. It's a sin. Addiction is not just a weakness and it's not just a proclivity, it is a sin. We live in a time when it's all blamed on genetics and it's all blamed on your parents and on your grandparents. And there might be some truth in that leads you to be more prone to addiction, but this is what I believe. I do believe that disposition is not the same as causation. Just because you're more disposed to addiction, it does not cause you to be addicted. In their book, Addictions, A Banquet in the Grave, Edward T. Welch, he says that sin is our core problem. And the beautiful thing is that Jesus came to deal with sin. You see, when we make addiction simply a disease, there's really no hope. There's no way to cure you. But when it is a sin, there's hope because Jesus came to deal with sin. And so the truth is, friend, you have a choice. You don't have to stay addicted. You don't. And maybe you're here and you're thinking, wait, how can I be free though? We're going to talk all about that in the 7 steps. But I need you to understand that this is a sin. And the sin, namely, is idolatry. When you are addicted to something, you have an idol in your life. And the question is, how can we experience freedom from that idol? How can we have freedom from worshiping this false god? You see, an idol is something that to you is more important than God in some area of your life. And so maybe for you, you know that God says He's the God of all comfort, to cast all your care upon Him. But instead of coming to God with your stress, you go to alcohol, or you go to drugs, or you go to watching wicked things on your phone. Friend, you have an idol. God says He'll take your care. He'll be your strength. He'll be your shield. But you say, no, God, I've got something a little bit better. And you rely on a false god, an idol, an addiction to get you through. And so, friend, this idolatry needs to end. It cannot be the way you continue to live your life. And so here are 7 steps to be free from this addiction, from this idolatry. The first step is this: make sure you're saved. I know this doesn't seem deep, but friend, the truth is, if you're not saved, you're still a slave to sin. Nothing that I say in the rest of this video will make a difference if you're a slave to sin. This is not a self-help video. You must make sure you are saved. And if you don't know you're saved, I've got a couple videos on this channel you can watch. Number 1, what is the gospel? There's a short video and it walks you through the gospel. You can be saved today. And then there's a longer video that works through the book of Romans. Both of those I'll link in the description. Make sure, if you're not saved, you need to get saved if you want to be free from your addiction, okay? The second step is this: make sure you're walking with God. Make sure you're walking with God. Friend, this is one of the most delicious privileges that's been purchased for us by Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. We get to walk with God. That's mind-blowing. It's crazy. And the Bible tells us that God is light. And I believe that the more you walk with God, the more His light exposes who you were, but the more that you walk in the light, the more you want to walk in the light, the more you enjoy the light, the more you see what's right, the more you see that righteousness is beautiful, that righteousness is desirable, the more you see that holiness is freedom. Holiness is freedom. The more you're motivated by love, it weakens your commitment to sin and to death. Friend, when you walk with God in the light, there's so much that happens, but you've got to make it a point to walk with God. I encourage you, start every day by reading the Word, by meditating on the Word, by praying. You've got to make this a priority, even when you don't feel you're getting much out of it. I have a video on how to get over that, and I'll link that as well. But the truth is, even when you don't feel you're getting anything out of it, make it a point: I'm going to walk with God in the morning. Step number 3 is this: make confession a regular part of your day. And I know this might sound like a weird step. You might think, I don't need this. What I need is something to do that I can be over my addiction. Give me some steps. Trust me, this is key. This really is. You must confess your sin regularly to God. And I want to encourage you, don't let shame, embarrassment, apathy, or anything else keep you from confessing. 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Friend, you must come to Jesus openly and tell him what you have done. And I want to give you an example of confession, because when I was a kid, I used to confess like this: Dear Jesus, forgive me for all my sins and bless this food to my body in Jesus' name, amen. But that's not confession. Here's an example. Let's say you're addicted to alcohol. It might go something like this: Lord, I am so sorry. I got home today and I was so stressed. And instead of casting my care on you, I went and relied on alcohol to calm me down. Lord, I loved alcohol more than you in that moment. I trusted alcohol more than you in that moment. And I'm so sorry. It was wrong. You said, be not drunk with wine. And I thought I knew better. Please forgive me. Do you see how specific that was? I didn't beat around the bush. I went to the root of the issue. I believed I knew better. I believed alcohol would do more for me than you could do for me. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's specific. And when you confess, it does a few things. Number one, it helps you peel back the deceitfulness of sin. When you don't confess, you kind of stay in that blinded moment. When you still think that addiction is better for you than whatever God had. It helps you, number two, consciously side with God again. You're on God's side. You're saved. You're his child. But you were living for the wrong team in that moment. And when you confess, you are consciously siding with God again. Lord, I was acting on the wrong team just a moment ago. And I'm consciously saying, no, you're right. I'm on your team. Your way is life. Your way is the right way. It also provides cleansing, number three, from sin that your conscience so desperately needs if you're going to walk in holiness. So much of the way we live is wrapped up in our identity. And when we think of ourselves as just wicked, terrible, we'll never be able to have victory, we're going to live a lot that way. But when you confess and you're cleansed, you are walking close to God again. There's this newness of who you view yourself to be. I'm clean. I'm walking in holiness. I'm being renewed day by day. And when you confess and you're cleansed, you get that cleansing that your conscience so desperately needs to do what's right. And then I love this one. It restores full fellowship with God. Friends, confession must be regular, but not just in the area of your addiction. This is a pitfall. Some people, they start confessing very regularly what they do wrong in the regards to their addiction, and yet they don't confess the other areas, the way they snapped at a spouse, the way they were inconsiderate, the way they sped down the road. And because of this, they give place to the devil. Friends, sin is connected, and if you let any sin stay in your life, you're going to have some issues. And so be regular, confess sin, and make sure you're walking in the Spirit. Walk in the Spirit, okay? Number four is this. This is step number 4. Believe that God has already freed you. This is so crucial. It really is. It's a tough one, but it's essential. You have to believe that God has already broken the chains of your addiction. A helpful story that helps me with this is about how they train baby elephants. I don't know if you've heard this story before. It blew my mind when I heard it. But the way they train baby elephants is they take a massive chain and they tie it tightly around one of the elephant's legs. And they take a giant metal spike and they fasten it deep into the ground. And then they let that baby elephant just tug and tug and tug for hours if needed, maybe even days. I don't know how long. But they let him tug until finally that elephant gives up on the inside and realizes there's no way. I've tried everything and I cannot be free. They say after that moment when the elephant gives up on the inside, they don't have to use a chain ever again. They can just take a rope, lightly tie it around just enough to where it feels the pressure. They can take a stick and put it in moist ground. And that elephant won't even try to escape. Even when it's full grown and can easily be free, it won't even try because it remembers trying and failing, trying and failing, trying and failing. And I think this is what gets so many Christians is they remember who they were when they tried in the flesh over and over and over and over again. And they were even saved, but they were trying in the flesh over and over and over and over and over and failed and failed and failed and failed. And so they believe there's no possible way. This is just who I am. This is who my parents were. This is who my grandparents were. There's no way I can be free of this addiction. But I want to tell you, friend, that's a lie. Jesus already broke the chains. And so you're not fighting for victory. You are fighting from victory. You are fighting in victory. Friend, we sing the song, Victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. Jesus came to save his people from their sins. I love what it says in Romans 6:11. Likewise, reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Friend, this is what Paul's saying. You need to count it as an absolute fact that you're dead to sin. Jesus has broken your relationship to sin. You don't have to keep serving sin. Friend, you are not supposed to be a slave unto sin. Friend, sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under the law, but under grace. And I want to tell you, friend, you don't have to continue living in sin, but you've got to get to the place where you believe. Jesus already broke the chains. He already broke the chains of alcohol. He already broke the chains of drugs. He's already broken the chains of watching wickedness on television and watching wickedness on social media. He's already broken the chains, but you've got to believe that. Did he actually die and break the chains of sin or not? You got to believe it. Step number 5 is this. Victory lies in dying, not trying. This is so crucial. And this is not saying you don't have to do anything. It's not just, Jesus take the wheel and you sit there and hope something happens. That's not what I'm saying, but this is so crucial for this shift to happen in our minds. Victory lies in dying, not trying. So let's just imagine temptation has reared its ugly head. Dopamine is already coursing through your system, which is what happens when you have an addiction. Is dopamine happens before you give in, and it's promising you a reward, whether this be alcohol or drugs or what you're watching. Dopamine is happening when all of a sudden you're craving it. That's that dopamine already coursing through your system, and it's promising you that if you do what you've always done in the past, there's a special reward waiting for you. And that's what that dopamine is doing. And so what do you do in that moment? When you are geared up, ready to give into that alcohol, get ready to give into those drugs, ready to give into whatever your addiction is, whether it's food or what you're watching. When you're ready to give in, what do you do in that moment? That moment when it feels impossible to resist. What do? Do you give in? Well, of course not. That's not what you're supposed to do. Well, maybe you try really hard to not want it. That's what a lot of people do, and that's why a lot of people fail. They're in that moment of temptation. They're ready to give into that temptation. And what they try to do is they try as hard as they can to not want to do it. And they fail. And they think, man, if I were really saved, I wouldn't want to do this. And so they try to get themselves to not want to do it. And that's why I say that's not where victory lies. Victory doesn't lie in trying. It lies in dying. Paul said this, "For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For the will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not." That's Romans 7:18. Friend, trying to get your flesh to want to do right is a losing battle. You can't do it. It's impossible. I believe it was H.A. Ironside who said that God allows us to struggle and fail and struggle and fail so that we get to the point where we realize that the flesh in the believer is no different than the flesh in an unbeliever. Oh, it's so delicious. You say, how's that delicious? That's discouraging. I know. You want to be free from it, but the knowledge that your flesh hasn't been born again. Your spirit has. And your flesh, we're groaning to be adopted. Our flesh is groaning for that, but our spirit is already adopted. For when you realize this, you got to realize your flesh will always want evil. And so trying to get your flesh to want what's right is a losing battle. You cannot do it. You will not see lasting victory by trying to eradicate the fleshly desires completely. And so friend, it's not by trying to not want it. It's by dying. By dying. Romans 8:13 says this, "For if we live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live." The goal is death to self. Die to the cravings, not change them. Die to the cravings, not change them. Friend, when a craving for sin comes, don't try in that moment to change the desire, instead die to it. Your flesh has to die, friend. And then you walk in the Spirit. So let's just imagine you're back in that moment. You don't feel like putting down the bottle. You don't feel like it. And your goal is not to change the feeling. You don't feel like putting away the snacks. You don't feel like putting away the phone. You don't feel like it. but you're going to simply trust and obey God. This is where you die to self. You realize, man, my flesh really craves this, and I'm not going to change its mind. It really wants that. It does. But Lord, I believe your way is better. It's not about feelings. It's not about changing my feelings or wants. It's I believe your way is better. Lord, right now I'm going to try. I have this food, and I know I'm doing this to try to calm myself or try to whatever it is. But Lord, I trust your way is better, even though I don't feel like doing it your way. I trust it, and so I'm going to obey. Trust and obey. This is how you mortify the deeds of the flesh. And this is where victory lies, not in trying to change your desires, but by dying to your desires, dying to what you want, and simply trusting and obeying. And when you do that, God provides the power to obey. That's when you walk in the Spirit. That's how you walk in the Spirit, okay? Now, the first time is the hardest. I promise you this. The first time, trusting and obeying is the most difficult because it's a lot up here. But once you trust and obey and God provides the power for victory, and you experience that, and you experience that you didn't have to eat that, you didn't have to drink that, you didn't have to take that, you didn't have to watch that, the victory is so delicious, it becomes addicting. No, it doesn't mean you're never going to fail again. That doesn't. And that's what leads us to step number 6, okay? Step number 6 is this. Remember that one failure is not a complete reset. One failure is not a complete reset. So let's say you had a victory. Maybe you've had a month of victory. I want to encourage you to celebrate those. Celebrate those victories. You have a victory, man, go do something good. Enjoy something. Reward yourself for walking in the Spirit. I think that's a good thing. I encourage someone who is addicted to drinking. Man, you go through for a day or so without drinking when you usually drink every day. Do something else and reward yourself. Maybe go out with your wife and just have a celebration that, man, God gave me victory in those days. That's something to celebrate. But when you do slip up, let's just say it's a month later, it's a week later, it's a few months later, the devil wants to say that slip up means that victory wasn't real in the first place. You know, he'll come up alongside and say, see, I told you, you can't have victory from me. If you really had victory, you wouldn't have fallen again, right? That's a lie. He'll also say this, well, since you have to start all over again, might as well spend a little bit of time down here at the bottom having some fun before you have to go back being all righteous and things. And this is why some people, you know, they've been going for like a week or a month without drinking, and then they'll mess up, and then they mess up deep because they believe this lie of Satan that you've already messed up. Might as well spend a little time down here on the bottom, and then you can get started again. Don't fall for that lie, friends. One mess up doesn't erase all the progress that came before it. It doesn't. You've gone a week without watching something. You've gone a week without... Friend, here's the truth. It's not... One mess up is not a complete reset. Yes, you have digressed a little bit. Yes, there are some consequences, but it's not pushing you all the way back to the beginning. And so, friend, don't believe that lie. Yes, you messed up. Yes, you sinned. Confess it honestly before the Lord, be cleansed, be forgiven, and keep going. I like to think of it, I think it was my sending pastor who showed me this. It's kind of like a stock graph. It should be trending in the right direction. You're going up, you have a little bit of a dip, but you keep going up, you have a little bit of dip, but it's trending upward. That should be what your Christian life should be like, okay? And then here's step number 7, the last one. Continue to allow God to renew your mind. This is one of the most hopeful things. Friends, God is literally renewing the structure of your brain. I love that science is now catching up with the Bible. This thing called neuroplasticity, that your brain can be rewired even at whatever age you're at. Your brain can continue to change. Your brain doesn't have to stay the same. And so the way you feel right now, in regards to your addiction, food, alcohol, drugs, what you're watching, doesn't have to stay that way forever. The devil wants to lie and say, no, you're always going to feel this way. It's always going to be this tough. No, that's not true. The more you meditate on the word, the more you actually can rewire the way your brain works and literally be renewed in your mind. You'll be renewed in the spirit of your mind, but also be renewed in the actual brain. Friend, you don't have to stay the same way you are today. I encourage you, meditate on the word. Let God continue to change the very way you think, very way your brain is structured, and let him change you. And here's the thing. The more you meditate on the word, the more you'll have faith. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And that faith in God is what allows you to walk in the Spirit. Friend, there's so much more. There's so much more we could talk about this, but there is victory in Jesus. You need to believe it. He's already beat your sin. So don't fall for the lies of Satan. Don't fall for the lies of Satan. You can have victory today.